Welcome back to the Chamber Exchange TV show. I'm Kate Lebelzik, the Vice President of Marketing and Communications for the Worcester Chamber of Commerce. We'd like to thank our sponsor, Bank Hometown, for making this show possible. And we'd like to thank Grace Elton, the CEO of Tower Hill, who was just on with us and told us some great things that are going on at Tower Hill. And right now, it is my pleasure to introduce Jennifer Riley, who is the chair of the Worcester Arts Council. And the Worcester Arts Council is a municipal body appointed by the city manager. And she's going to tell us about the council itself and all of the important things that they do for our city. So welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. So the Worcester Arts Council, for our viewers at home, what do you do? What are you?
Sure. Well, as you said, we're a municipal body appointed by the city manager, and we are a volunteer board of 9 members. And we are tasked with promoting the culture and arts in the city of Worcester, but also with distributing grant funds provided by the Mass Cultural Council, which is a state-funded agency. So that's really our primary task, is funding projects and artists within the city and then promoting those projects.
Awesome. Well, as someone who is a lover of the arts and theater and music, I'm sure you do incredible work. So the community input survey is something that is a very important part of your job. What is that?
Absolutely. So the community input survey is something we do every year, and it's an online survey people can take, and it helps us establish the priorities for the next funding cycle, grant funding cycle. And we ask residents of Worcester to take this survey. It takes less than 5 minutes, and it tells us what their priorities are for funding. And it's incredibly important because we use the results of that survey to determine the top 3 priorities for funding in the city. So for example, last year we were told very clearly that people wanted public arts, children's education and instruction, as well as projects that served underserved communities and communities that traditionally didn't have a lot of funding. And we take those results, and when it comes to evaluating the grant applications that we receive, we score them on a rubric based on those priorities. So the more people that take the survey, the better idea we have of where they want their the money spent in the city. So the community input survey is available online. You can get it through our site on the city website, which is worcesterma.gov/WAC. WAC. You can find the link there or on our social media pages.
Okay. And so what are some of the projects that last year that you decided to fund this year?
So we got, I think, over 100 applications last year. We were able to fund about 50 of those with the funds that we had. It's everywhere from theater projects to festivals. We also did fellowships for artists that are not project-based but give them a certain amount of money to do basically whatever they want for projects. And we funded art programs, we funded music. It's really the whole range of the cultural activities within the city.
And what do you see where is the most need? Where do you see that?
Well, to be honest, it's really everywhere. I mean, I've been on the council for 2 years. In the past 2 years, we receive far more requests for funding than we have the funds for. So it's become really clear to us, especially because of COVID, that there's a need for funds in the city of Worcester. I mean, we all know this is a great cultural city. There's a lot going on, and there's a strong need across the board for funding.
So we have the upcoming MCC grant cycle, the Mass Cultural Council cycle, and it runs from September to October. Is that correct? Yeah.
It runs September to about mid-October.
Okay, yeah. And so what does that entail?
So that's our annual funding cycle. We receive funds from the Mass Cultural Council, and it's a grant-funded process. So the applications are open from September to about mid-October. It's open to anyone who's in the resident, has to be in the, there's a couple criteria. If it's a fellowship, you have to be an artist within the city of Worcester. You can be in the Worcester County for the projects, but the project has to take place within the city of Worcester. So coming up, we will be doing grant workshops that people can join us for if they have questions about the application process or how it all works. We'll certainly have information on our website that I mentioned before. And when the grant process closes, we then evaluate those grants based on the results of the community input survey. And we do that in about November, December, and the projects are that are awarded or announced after the first of the year.
Awesome. And is there anything specific that you look for when you're looking at these grant applications? Like something that sticks out to you, or you say, this is something we definitely want to fund? Like an example of that.
So I think primarily what we really look for, of course, is based on the top 3 priorities that we've established, but also the greatest impact that it can have on the residents of Worcester. Right. For example, if one of our top priorities is underserved communities, then we would look for grants that are doing projects within those communities. It doesn't necessarily mean it needs to be a big festival. It can be a program for children that's impacting children in that community. It can be other communities or other populations that are underserved. That's been a very strong priority based on, again, community input survey. That's what we're hearing. So it really is, we're really looking for projects that hit a lot of our established priorities.
Awesome. And now once these projects get funded, do they have to come back to the council and say, this is what we did and this was our impact? Or is it kind of like, do you just see it because it's in the community?
No, there are requirements as a grant recipient. So we are now providing funds. It's a direct grant program at this point. So once you're awarded the funds, they're given to you, but there is a process after the fact. We have to provide receipts for what the money's been spent on, and we do a final project evaluation form to find out how it went. Were there problems? Did you run into difficulties? It helps us refine the grant process as well.
Oh, that's awesome. Great. So do you want to highlight a few of the upcoming Worcester Arts Council events that are happening in the city?
I would love to.
Awesome. And now, is it just Worcester proper, or is it surrounding towns as well?
The events have to happen within the city.
Within the city, okay,
yes.
Great. You don't have to go far.
Yes, right. They're all very close by. So we have one coming up on Saturday, August 8th at the Ecotarium. It's Feather Fest. That's an ongoing project that an ongoing series they have. There's one coming up in the end of the month on August 28th. It's the Caribbean American Carnival.
Oh, okay.
I think this is, I don't know which year they're in, but I've heard amazing things about that, yes. And then coming up in September is the 3rd annual Beats and Barbecue event. So those are kind of 3 big ones coming up.
Oh, that's so
we're
interesting.
excited
I didn't
about.
know any of those were funded by the Worcester Arts
Yes,
Council. That's
yes.
so great.
So I would encourage people to, if they don't already, follow us on our social media accounts. You'll find out about a lot of events happening, but also updates about the grants, the timelines, and we also post about other grants that are available to artists in the community. So we are on Instagram at Worcester Arts Council and Facebook.
Awesome. All right. Well, make sure to give them a follow.
Yes, please.
Anything else you want to tell us about the Worcester Arts Council before we have to say goodbye today?
No, just another plug for the community input survey. It's open through August 8th. And I did not mention, but by taking it, people are entered to win a pair of Ray-Ban sunglasses valued up to $300. So.
Oh, wow. That's great. Ray-Ban sunglasses.
Right.
Well, thank you so much, Jennifer, for joining us today. This has been a real treat. I really look forward to seeing all of the incredible things that the Worcester Arts Council funds this year. If you are an artist and you are looking for funding, please reach out to the Worcester Arts Council. Keep the arts alive in Worcester. Jennifer, thank you again, and we will be right back.
These days, you've got your hands full in life. That's why we help you bank simply and securely with tools like Face ID and Touch ID. It's why we make it easy to make purchases on the go and get cash back while you're at it. Why we help you quickly deposit checks wherever you are. And it's why we lend a hand with sending and receiving money right from your phone. So even when you're on the move, you can manage your finances. Bank Hometown. Unlock your potential.